Hey, it's James, Fathers' Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I want to talk about when it's good to know, or why everybody should know, a combination of things, and how sometimes a combination of knowledge of different topics and subjects is often what you need to know in order to fight or argue or make a point in court or in an argument or in a hearing or in paperwork. So, was talking to a dad who has an infant child, and the mother is saying that he shouldn't have overnights. He's not ready. He doesn't know how to care for the child. And so, well, I've had a video on YouTube. I think I made it on TikTok. One of the obvious things when somebody says, our child is just a baby, you can't handle the child overnight. Only a psychotic, retarded moron would say something stupid like that. Because if you're letting an infant or a toddler be around the other parent during the day, when the toddler can pick up something and choke on it, or stumble and fall or cut themselves, if they trust you with the child during the day, how much more can they trust you with the child at night when they're sleeping and there's no danger? So, but see, that's a common sense, logical, immediate answer that anybody with a high school diploma can figure out. But these attorneys don't figure it out because nobody has thought this stuff through, because the attorneys just go through the motions. So that's where your job kicks in, where you need to tell your attorney to do their job and to say what you want them to say. They're your mouthpiece. This is about your life with your kid. They're going to walk away and move on to the next case. They don't have to worry about any relationship with the kids because they're not the parent. So you need to seize their skills if you still want to stick with an attorney, which you're better off without one. But if you want to stick with one, you need to force them to use their skills to say the argument that you want to say for your life with your kid, because it's your case. It's not the mother's attorney versus your attorney. It's you versus the mother. It's your life at stake with the kids. It's your parental rights. It's your kids at stake. Not the attorney, not the attorney's wishes or feelings or whatever. They work for you to have something done. When you have a landscaper, they're working on your yard and you want it done the way you want it because it's your yard. And when they walk away, it doesn't matter what their opinion is. When they're done with their job, you're left with the result of what they did. If they don't do or cut your lawn or edge your bushes or, lay beauty bark or whatever the way that you want it, you're going to be stuck with that. And if you don't stand up to them when they say, no, that's not a good idea, or we're not going to do it that way, then you fire them or get somebody else. You don't tolerate their wishes about your yard, or when it comes to working on your car or painting your house, or if somebody says, well, I don't like that shade of color on your house. That's too bad. I paid you to paint this color. You work for me. But we won't do that when it comes to our attorneys. We won't make them fight for our interests in the way we want. But, so they won't say stuff like, well, Your Honor, if she trusts me, and in this case, when I was talking with this dad, they don't have a court order yet. So the mother is letting him have the kid during the day. So she trusts him with the kid during the day. So why can't she trust him at night? When there's no such perils or dangers and stuff like that, right? So, another one of our arguments is that he's only going for 50-50 because he wants, he's only going for 50-50 because he wants to get out of child support. Well, if you know the rules of evidence, then you know that she can't speak to your state of mind under the personal knowledge rule. Then on top of that, the fact that she has the audacity to assume that a father doesn't want to be around their kid because they love them. You know, that's a whole culture and mentality of the court system also. Oh, well, if you look at the divorce court video, there's this former judge who used to work for CPS, total sellout bitch, Saul Gotthard or Gothard. It's SOLGOTTHRD. He's dead now. I went on his Facebook page and said what a sellout piece of shit he was. And he said, is the father really trying to get 50-50 and share the kid, or is he trying to get out of child support? There's just this bigoted presumption that dads don't love their kids and don't want to spend time with their kids, and they only want 50-50 or custody or something to get out of child support. There's an easy argument against that. That's his state of mind. And then I would turn that around and say, how could you say something so bigoted and hateful and act like only women care about their kids? That's a fringe, radical feminist, extremist point of view that you guys are adopting. I would jump all over that. Then this guy was talking about, well, what if the mother argues, well, he asked about that, but he was saying, what if the mother argues that, you know, the father can't handle the child, the father isn't capable of it, or we can't trust him overnight because he had to have overnights before. And then also something about his roommates or people he's rented to or whatever. So then again, you don't just come back with, hey, look, I care about the kid. I'm capable of handling the kid. You go back to Troxel versus Granville. You go back to what they said. We assume that fit parents act in the best interest of children. So if the Supreme Court says you have to assume that, then they have to assume that you act in the best interest of the child. So if you subrent to somebody, or if you have people who come over to your house, or you have guests at your house, it is assumed that you will pick people who won't be a danger to your child, to live with you, to visit with you, to come over. Once you get all these principles down, you could use them all kinds of angles in all kinds of different ways. And then you do it in light of the rules of evidence. There was also a talk about the distance also. You know, the mother was arguing, well, we can't have shared custody because of the distance. What the hell does that even mean? That's another thing where the courts do stuff out of routinely doing it. Not because there's any logic or sense. They just say it. This is where you got to start thinking a little bit deeper also and use some skills. And ask, why are they saying this? Where do they get that idea from? Oh, we live 30 miles away or 45 miles away. What's more important? The love of the child and love of parents have for the child? Or having to drive a little bit? You're already in a broken family, in a dysfunctional relationship, in a dysfunctional setup. The children are already suffering because of the broken family. So you're already in a situation where there's that trouble. Why all of a sudden is the distance any kind of trouble? You already have the main, most detrimental thing outside of actual child abuse and whatever. You have a broken family. So now you're going to say, oh, the other parent can't see the kid that much because of the inconvenience of the distance? You have a broken family. Why can't you care enough to drive a little bit of extra time? Then they might turn around and say, well, the child can't handle all the driving and all the back and forth, and the child needs one home. You know who the only person is that could testify to the child's psychology of the state of mind of the child, given a distance and going back and forth, is a child psychologist. So that's when you know the rules of evidence. So you combine Troxel versus Granville. They assume that I act in the best interest of the child because I'm a fit parent, I act in the best interest of the child. And you can't testify to something that psychologically affects the child because you're not a child psychologist. And the judge, if they try to interject and say, well, this is too far away, I've seen cases like this, children need that, then the judge is testifying and violating the rules of evidence. So you need to be all over it, from statutes, constitutional case law, the science, the data, all that stuff.